What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring us to feel better, look better, love better, just be better every damn day of our lives. Jason?
Yeah, man.
Game week.
Peacock?
Yes.
I'm excited.
Predictions. Huh?
Something like that.
I saw that you gave your game-by-game predictions already, right?
I did.
Yeah?
Those are always right.
How were the responses to that? Those are my favorite.
Yeah, so pretty good, actually. I think people think they're reasonable. And, they may not agree with individual games, but I'm just guessing on the individual games. There are lots of things we don't know about any of these
Everyone
teams.
is guessing.
Right. Like, what did we think about Northwestern Nebraska before last week? We're guessing.
Right.
I mean,
we thought Nebraska would finally turn the corner under Scott Frost.
And we're all sitting there wishing we could go back in time and bet the over 4 wins for Northwestern right now, because it's clear we always forget that Pat Fitzgerald is actually a pretty damn good coach, and his program rarely sucks 2 years in a row.
Well, let's pump the brakes. I mean, he beat a Nebraska team. I mean, who knows how the season will shake out?
But they look competent. They don't look like they did last year offensively. They look like they'll be at least competitive again. More than 4 wins, right?
Yeah.
They look like
I didn't get to see the game, but obviously you look at the box score and you're impressed that Northwestern could pull that one out. And where is Scott Frost, a dead man walking? After week 1, Nebraska fan, just your season's done.
No, yeah.
I mean, that sucks.
So I actually got to see a fair bit of that game. I was up in Marquette, and my wife was hosting a bridal shower. So I didn't have to be there. I could be in the hotel and sports bars and places where I'd rather actually be. So I got to see that and a lot of the soccer and other things like that. And it was, we'll get into the Scott Frost takes, because I've got a little of something that relates to MSU on that, and there are plenty of listener hot takes on Scott Frost as well. Also, and I left it in the car, and I'll get it during our break so people on camera can see it. And I promised Dominic I'd do this.
You're going to wear a thong?
No, I brought back from the Fairfield Inn in Marquette, the refrigerator in the lobby, a roast umber coffee. And I have not yet to try it, so I'll try it live.
Tony Dombrowski.
We'll do it live.
You're going to drink coffee right now?
I usually do it this time of night. It doesn't affect me in negative ways after 8 p.m. If I do it,
of course it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're such a weirdo. How does coffee not affect you? You're going to go to bed at 2 a.m. now?
No. I mean, I can drink coffee and go to bed within an hour. A lot of people are like that. It's not healthy. I'm not saying it's good.
Yeah. I had a buddy that took NyQuil, and it would keep him awake. Like he would be wired. So
that's kind of fucked up. I think that's different.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to dig into our hot
Let's hear
takes?
some Scott Frost and Michigan State intertwined.
Okay.
I'm interested.
All right. So the best thing for Michigan State, the best thing for MSU fans, the best thing for the program about last year's MSU football season, where the program is right now, and the confidence people have in the program. It's not the recruiting at the level Mel Tucker started to recruit at here. It's not anything else, but it is that he and his staff appear to be the antithesis of Scott Frost. And that's what last year showed. Like, when you have a coach that wins the details, that wins the preparation, that wins the in-game decisions, even when they don't always have the overwhelming talent, you've got a chance. And that stuff tends to carry over year to year, as we're seeing with Scott Frost, who's lost I saw a stat out there that they've lost 7 straight games now by less than a touchdown, which is the most since the beginning of the AP poll era in 1936. There is stuff that's clearly it's not just bad luck when you get to that point. And when you've got that problem, you've got to cut bait, because what you essentially have is, and I don't even know if John L. was this bad, but you have John L. Smith. Ooh. John L. Smith had decent talent. They just screwed situations up. They screwed up games.
The damn coaches are screwing it up.
It never ends well. You're just wasting time right now with Scott Frost.
But what's the alternative, though?
You fire him and you try to get the guy. Now, look, I'm not saying
he was the golden boy. He was supposed to come back to Nebraska and win.
Great hire. Nobody's blaming the hire. An AD should get a pass on that hire. The guy went 13. Look, he's a Nebraska alum. He was a former Nebraska star. He goes 13-0 the year before at Central Florida. Nobody in there. You'd have to be nobody saw that as a bad hire. It was a home run hire.
Oh yeah. Nobody
blames that. If you're the person who hired him, you get a pass on this one. Sometimes you don't get a pass because it looks like a dumb hire. Everybody gets a pass.
You're like William Clay Ford. We'll give you some more time. No big deal.
And I understand also that with Scott Frost, in a sense, he is the equivalent of Jim Harbaugh to Nebraska. He is your guy coming back to save a program that's sort of lost its way, that used to be for 30 years a dominant program, or at least a historically great team. And so when that doesn't work, where do you go next? And I think Michigan struggled with that thought a little bit. Now they've sort of tired of Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's won. I don't want to compare Harbaugh and Frost. Harbaugh's won tons more. Like it's just not even close.
They both play quarterback.
Well, but the other thing is, what I mean is, when you have to start wrapping your head around the idea that the golden child you brought back, who is your great alum in the coaching profession, who seemed like a home run hire, isn't perfect. That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. Yep. In Nebraska's case, it's a lot worse. But I think to intertwine it again to an MSU perspective, it's why MSU fans should feel so good about the Mel Tucker hire. It's not that Michigan State's not going to lose a game in a stupid way at some point. It's not that they're not going to blow a close game. It's not that there's not going to be a frustrating moment here or there. But I think, and it's not just Mel Tucker, I think he's got a pretty good staff at this. But and it's also, he's not a guy who tends to throw his staff under the bus at post-game like Scott Frost already did, saying that his offensive coaches have to learn you need to be a little more creative in this conference.
Chris Ilitch.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
I mean, those are not conversations you have immediately after the game unless you want to lose your team. But in Michigan State, when you have games like against Nebraska last year, when you're out-physicaled, when you have games like at Indiana last year, you easily could have lost on the road. Michigan, you played a team that I think everybody would agree pound for pound was probably better than Michigan State, and you win 37-33. The way they finished off Miami in a game that was incredibly close and toe-to-toe for 3 quarters, when you look at and the way they and look, the snow helped against Penn State. I truly believe that was a big help. But at the end of the year, when that win there sort of stopped the bleeding, and just the characteristics within the team and within the program, the way they win close games, those things are real, and those things are about preparation and details and decisions in games. It's how it's the whole nutritional program and everything that worked at Miami. It's guys truly buying into the keep chopping thing, even if it's a saying that it takes the 18-year-old mind to buy into. But you have the antithesis of Scott Frost, and when you watch Scott Frost, I think if you're a Michigan State fan, you can feel good about that situation.
Is there any, obviously, if they win 10 straight, but I mean, is there a way that Scott Frost can turn this thing around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they win 7 games, he's going to be back, and they probably have enough talent.
Is that the number, though?
Decent enough.
That's the dead set number. Anything under 7 wins, right?
6, they're going to a bowl game, and things look better. I think it's how it looks. I think it's one of those things you know when you see it.
I think you're right on. If you win 6 games, because they want it so badly that he can turn this program around.
If there are decent vibes, or they win a couple close games, they need that to happen. They frankly need to win a game where things are determined late and then go in their favor in a big setting too. I think you can turn it around. What is your first hot take?
Well, I was catching up on things, Graham, because I was in Wisconsin over the weekend playing a bags tournament. By the way, Treese carried us to the finals.
Some people call it cornhole.
Cornhole, bags, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like soda and pop. Whatever.
Yeah, but if
you know what I'm saying.
Yes, not everybody. When you say bags, it takes me a minute.
Why?
I don't know.
Graham, I'm playing bags.
Okay.
Right? I mean, if I gave you 2 guesses on what I was talking about, if I said, yeah, we played bags this weekend. Like played with my own bag?
Yeah,
and Chad Latz playing with their bags?
No.
It's not that kind of bag.
Right, gotcha.
Anyway,
Understood.
It was fun. Treese carried us there. Thank you, Skyman. It was surreal. The lights were on, and there was like 25 people watching us play in this championship game that lasted like an hour and a half. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? It was kind of surreal. But anyway, so I caught up on some Detroit Lions news, Graham. There's a lot of scuttlebutt. Is that right? Is that scuttlebutt? Tim Boyle or David Blau are fighting for the backup position for a quarterback for the Lions to back up Jared Goff. And Twitter was going nuts. I'm like, what is going on with the Detroit Lions? Hard Knocks or whatever? No, the backup quarterback. Either one of these guys, if they have to play at any point during the season, the Lions are screwed. So why are fans worrying about the backup quarterback?
Right.
And you could say that even when Stafford was here. If Stafford went down, we're done.
I'm not sure you have a decent starting quarterback. Like,
right.
No, I don't worry about it right now. First of all, most teams, if your quarterback's gone for any length of time, you're toast. And if you're the Lions and you're not probably a playoff team anyway, it's really irrelevant. Where I would be frustrated if I were a Lions fan on this is the idea that, and I act like I root for the Lions. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't mean to.
You're a fan.
I didn't mean to cast off like I'm some, Anyway, what would be frustrating, we'll fix the other part in post. Let's start it right here.
I got it.
What would be frustrating is if the Lions looked like a playoff team this year. That was the expectation. This was a year they're really going to make a move.
Yeah,
but because then what you want is, obviously if your starting quarterback gets hurt on any team with a long-term injury, you're screwed. But you do want to have somebody that, hey, you got to play 2 weeks. You don't automatically lose 2 games. You do want to have somebody who's capable, Jacoby Brissett, that type of guy. You want that caliber backup who can get you through a week.
Yeah, you can strike gold with a guy like Brissett or some other quarterback. But these guys, Tim Boyle and David Blau, you're talking about trading for a backup. Like, what are we doing here? I'm just worried about the season. And I know Campbell. There's no way. There's no way that he could get fired after this year unless the whole team gave up on him or something like that. I'm just saying, if we're wasting our time on this backup quarterback thing, why? I mean, isn't that what the Patriots do?
Are we
there yet?
We're too close to the season. People got nothing left. We're in a weird. It's like the games just need to happen. The debates are getting odd. People are just, this is why I was so happy to be in England for a couple weeks, because it shortens August. You think of August as, hey, football is back, but really August is the worst month. Because July, you go into July going, what's the topic? It's Pete Rose, Hall of Fame. There's nothing going on. Let's just have some fun.
Yeah.
You go in, you get to August, football feels like it's back, but it's not back. The storyline has not changed. Nothing. Every once in a while, there's an announcement. Somebody wins a quarterback competition. This happens. There's an injury. Whatever. There are moments where there's a little something, but really, it's a continuation of like spring football or the previous year. Now you're just talking about it every day, and there's
too much. There's too much. Everyone has an opinion, and no one knows what they're talking about because it's the whole season. I mean, Nebraska was what an 11.5-point favorite in that game on Saturday. And no one saw Northwestern winning that game. I mean,
because we all base things on the previous year.
Sure.
And, you do think sometime, well, at some point, Northwestern's going to have 2 bad years in a row. And they never do. Like, Pat Fitzgerald is a really good coach. If Pat Fitzgerald did not think he could maintain something at a decent level at Northwestern, he's had a lot of opportunities to leave. If he thought, man, I'm doing this with smoke and mirrors, eventually somebody's going to figure this out, and I'm going to –
but they love him there.
Yeah, and he also thinks, you know what, it's never going to be Ohio State, but 2 out of 3 years, I can be pretty competitive. And 1 out of every 4 years or 5 years, I'm going to compete in the West for a chance at the
And
Big
the
Ten
fan base
championship
isn't
game.
going to come after you. They're not as rabid. They just wait till you're good and they jump on.
And I know the formula. I'm never going to let it completely fall.
Yeah.
And he's
genius.
Yeah. No, he's a good coach. He's a fan. He'd be a good coach absolutely anywhere. All right, my second hot take. I actually like what Jim Harbaugh is doing with his quarterbacks. K. McNamara and J.J. McCarthy.
Well, when you have an exhibition schedule like they do.
Well, but a lot of Michigan State does too. Western Michigan and Akron are no different in a sense. But what I like is, like, I've often said that, like, quarterback competition isn't actually the coach's decision because it always plays out in the field. Like, everybody sees it, right? Including his players. Everybody knows it. You don't get to say, like, that was my point with Caton Hauser's recruit. Everybody is, he's definitely the next guy. Well, you know what? He's the next guy if he's the next guy. But he's not the next guy because of his recruiting profile or anything, because you want him to be the next guy. Damian Terry wasn't the next guy. Messiah DeWeaver wasn't the next guy. You don't get to decide who the next guy is. The next guy plays out. In Michigan State, I think people know that more than anything because Kirk Cousins won it over Keith Nickel, and Connor Cook eventually got it. These guys weren't all the heralded guys. It's who wins the job on a Saturday, and I do think you got two similar-ish opponents to start, because it doesn't work if one is Akron and one is Ohio State. That doesn't work. It keeps both of them engaged. And the other thing is, and perhaps out of the portal, but it does, I believe, mean there's no true separation. Because if there was actual separation, the players would know it, the quarterbacks would know it, and it would make no sense. Like the sort of thing you lose your locker room. What are we doing? This guy's been better. I think it's close enough that you put it out there on a Saturday so everybody can sort of help you make the decision. It becomes obvious. It happens in a game, different types of pressure, and everybody sort of gets why you make the decision you do, especially if it's not J.J. McCarthy, who a lot of people want, or I guess some people want one way or another. But I actually like the way he's doing it with this. You do have to make a decision at that point because you can't go back and forth. But it also lets the other one know that, you think they're capable of leading you places, and I think it really helps.
But we're
keep
not
people
confident
engaged.
in you. From the get-go. We have to just see how it goes.
But they know they haven't separated themselves. He wouldn't. If there was separation, he wouldn't be able to do this. I don't mind what he's doing. I think it sets up well for them. You've got a quarterback who's won a ton. You got another guy who's a huge talent, and the thing is how you handle it after you do these two games. But I don't mind the way they're doing it with these two games.
And like I said, with the exhibition schedule, but Michigan State, yes, they're not playing heavyweights, but also Peyton Thorne is the clear-cut quarterback. If you're playing two top 25 teams, speaking of Michigan, are you still going to go with this kind of thing where you can play around with the first two teams, but can you keep doing that when you play top 25 guys?
Well, yeah, and if one guy really, really struggles for something, you can always bring the other guy in that game that they start.
Whoever's hot, but that can get kind of confusing because how long do you wait on a guy? How long do you let a guy play? So,
well, if the game's tight and he's not playing well, it's pretty clear. You bring the other guy in.
Yep.
They should win. They should win both those games. What's your second hot take?
Well, we talked about people not knowing anything earlier. Desmond Howard was on College Game Day. I don't know if you saw his playoff. It includes Texas A&M, his SEC winner, Pittsburgh, Baylor, and, of course, Michigan. That's no Alabama, no Georgia, no Ohio State from Howard. Now, that is a hot take. Now, I understand people are going to put out their college football playoff thing, but are we serious? He really thinks Pittsburgh is going to make the college football playoff?
It was a bizarre thing. And then the problem for him is that he puts Michigan in there. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you may
you feel that way, it's fine.
Yeah, but
the problem is you've always picked Michigan,
correct.
So it falls a little short.
He's got zero credibility on it. If he puts the other three in there with one more of the superpowers, it becomes interesting. The second you get really cute and your fourth is Michigan, it becomes it's Desmond, and then you nobody's paying attention.
And speaking of College Game Day, Graham, I don't know if you saw this, but this is Lee Corso.
In the SEC title game. Georgia versus Alabama, SEC title game. Then the winner goes on and plays for the national title. That's what I predict. I predict the SEC winner will not win the national title this year. The SEC winner will not win the SEC title this year. Details later.
Okay, I know we don't want to take the keys away from Grandpa, but someone has to get to Lee Corso and his family or ESPN, whoever's putting him on the TV. It's getting really, really sad, and it bums you out at this point. I don't know why he's on a set by himself with kids in the background. I guess that's his house or some shit.
It doesn't work. It works
better. But he needs Herb Street to lean on, and if you want to treat him like a mascot, don't throw him out there by himself.
The thing I would do with him if he still wanted to be involved and you wanted to involve him, because I mean it is hard to tell somebody to.
It was like Dick Clark though back in the day.
Was rough.
Don't you have anyone around there? Can't you seriously play him that video and go, Lee, we love you. Everyone's going to get old. It blows, but we have to dial it back. Maybe you don't go on air.
And how about with Lee? You just don't do it live anymore.
Absolutely.
So you have multiple takes.
You do a prepackaged thing with Lee Corso doing the picks. Bring him out for the end where he puts the stupid thing.
Yes, because then you're able to say, okay, it's going to take us 6 or 7 takes, but he's going to get one that doesn't sound so bad.
And you can edit.
Yes,
and make
no
it,
doubt.
Cut it in post.
I'm totally with you.
It's not like I'm anti-old people.
No.
I'm worried. You can ruin yourself by being on TV if no one's telling you. I hope if I get that old and we're still doing a show or something, and I'm like, I mean, it sounded like me about 4 years ago.
This show would actually improve if you and I were senile in our late 80s, but
right. It's just it sucks. Everyone we get old but damn it, man, someone's got to talk to him.
All right, before I do my third hot take, I want to give a quick shout out to
birthday shout outs.
No, listeners I ran into at a along the highway on the way down from Marquette today. Nick and his girlfriend Jenna and their friends were at a McDonald's, and they're listeners, and just want to say appreciate you being listeners, and appreciate you saying hi.
So they saw you walking into a Mickey D's?
Yeah, they thought it was me, and then they heard the voice, and they knew it was me because I sound like I want ice
Quarter
cream.
pounder with cheese. I would like a quarter pounder with cheese, and don't skip on the fries. I always check the bag before I leave.
That was it. So once they heard that, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Rico Beard once told me he's the guy that when you're shorted fries, like he's the go back in guy. Like he'll see that he didn't get enough fries or they're
go back
cold.
in. Yeah,
he's go back in guy.
That's little. That's
I don't know.
I usually think, well, they just skip me on the calories. I'm good. I'm good.
I'm not gonna waste my time.
Okay, this is an obvious one that some people are gonna be annoyed with, but nonetheless, I tweeted out something on Saturday while watching So I've got 2 games. I'm at a sports bar in Marquette, right along Lake Superior. Fantastic thing going. I got on my phone one of the Premier League games, and on the TV to my right, Northwestern versus Nebraska. And it becomes really clear. I think it was Arsenal-Fulham is the game I was watching. I think, I tweeted this, I believe this. College football is lucky that our love for it was established long before they introduced us to soccer. I'm telling you right now. And again, what it makes you realize is college football, there has to be a better way than 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off. These commercials are long, and they go to them sometimes twice after a kick, before the kickoff and after the kickoff. It's too much, and I think over time they need to be a little bit careful, just a little bit careful, because it's not because soccer necessarily is going to be the thing that people go, oh, look at this is better. It's all within 2 hours. There are no interruptions for 45 minutes in each half. But look at baseball and the way that it's they're trying to speed things up to get younger people involved. I missed so many plays. I just lost my attention on the game. It's like, another freaking commercial, and I get into the soccer. I get into something else. I get into a conversation. I understand people are going to love their teams. They're going to watch their games. We're not going to lose out on college football. But it's not a great product in how it's packaged right now for the TV consumer in terms of the on again, off again. There's got to be a way with sponsorships and other things to bring in just as much money and not take quite as many breaks. And when you're watching the game live, it's almost as bad because you're the person you hate most in the stadium is that little fuckstick who's wearing the red uniform who walks on the field and you know it's another media timeout, right? He's got a stupid-looking face. It's too much, and it takes the enjoyment away for somebody like me. There has to be other people who feel this way. I'm just saying, I'm not saying soccer is going to overtake college football in this country, but I'm just saying it's a noticeable issue, and when you have something to contrast it with, it was easy for my attention to be on the other thing. That's all I'm saying. Do you agree?
They need to get rid of, in the NFL, they have, after a touchdown or field goal is scored, they have the commercial.
Then the kickoff, then the commercial.
No, you get one.
Back.
You get rid of those. And I understand they need to make money, but why can't you do a pushback like during the kickoff, right? Because usually they're touchbacks or whatever, so you can't do a pullback and then play the ads around it.
Yeah, do a split screen.
Doesn't soccer
do
that?
Yeah, no, soccer really doesn't.
No, but I'm saying they don't do any ads around the border, like to just.
Every once in a while, they have something a little bit in the corner. They used to be back when the U.S. didn't really know how to handle it. Back we're talking like the '86 World Cup, '90 World Cup. They would put like a border around it that would say like Budweiser for like 2 minutes because they didn't really know what to do.
Right.
But
there's ways around it, is what I'm saying, though, that you don't have to do that many commercial breaks.
Yeah, I mean it's. Look, I understand advertising. Look, in soccer, they have it on the jerseys. They have the sponsorship. It's just a different priorities, and I would rather, in this country, we don't want, we do Nike stuff with college football, but they don't want just Nike instead of Michigan State. Nobody wants
everyone
that.
Knows Nike, right? Do you really, is any ad going to get you to buy? I mean, if they have shoes that you like that are on the commercial or something, or a hoodie, yes, but do you really need to see Nike?
And you want me to love a product. You do what they do sometimes with things where something.
Sponsor the show.
Yeah, this quarter is brought to you commercial free by so-and-so. You say that, I will buy that product.
Right.
You more of that stuff.
It's like the YouTube ads that pop up after, and you sit there and you get so mad. And when I see those ads, I go, whatever company that is, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I get pissed at them.
No, I don't. Like the worst one for me is, and if some, this has nothing to do with exactly what we're talking about. 1-800-CARS for kids. I'll never donate to that because that freaking song, man. Like until they get rid of that song, I can't.
1-800-CARS for kids.
It's not really the song, but
no,
it's 1-800. No, I sound like I'm off on that. Fuck. Just let's move on. What's your third hot take?
You need Chad Latz for some backup. Well, there's just two things left. LeBron James. He tweeted out that he has Manti Te'o's back. I found that to be hilarious. So you didn't have, before this whole documentary, that LeBron, you didn't have Manti Te'o's back at all? Like, this came out of nowhere again after 10 years, and LeBron's has Manti Te'o's back. Anyway, but I also, this weekend, Graham, I pranked my father-in-law. I sent you the video and everything.
I like this. By the way, your father-in-law is a somewhat intimidating fella.
He is. And he's like 70. I don't know. He doesn't care if I tell, but 73 years old, looks great for his age. He's very he is one of the nicest guys, though. He's not. But yes, if you don't know him, he could appear intimidating by watching the video. But I bought these fake parking tickets on Amazon, and I was like, so we went up for this cornhole tournament, and I decided, okay, we're going out to dinner. I'm gonna bring one and leave it on his car. Now, I've never pranked him, obviously, so I don't know if he was going to like this or not. But I did it anyway, and I forgot about it during dinner because dinner took like about an hour and a half or something like that. So I forgot about it. Things were happening, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, the ticket. Yeah, that's right. So then it got exciting again, and I recorded it. So I posted it on Twitter. He took it well, but there was at one moment when he said, get out of the road. Like that voice. I heard that voice, and even T goes, oh shit. And so in my head, thank you, Skymint, I was like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Because it always can turn, right? Like you have a relationship with your father-in-law, and he's putting up with me because, I'm married to his daughter. So there's always that risk. It wasn't the riskiest joke. It's not like he went into a porta potty and I pushed him over or some shit. I just did a fake parking ticket. But, So
wait, when you say the Skymint helped you be calm in the moment or come up with the idea?
Well, of course, it helped me come up with the idea. I mean, no one just orders fake parking tickets sober.
Right.
So I had to be Skyminted up for that. But no, when you go out to dinner, you take an edible just to enjoy yourself and have a good time. And I just forgot about it. And it was just like, you're in a moment like that. And I'm just like, oh shit, I hope he doesn't get really, really pissed. So anyway, that was fun.
Also, did you were in a cornhole bags tournament? Did you guys win?
No, we finished second out of what? 24 teams.
That's pretty good.
And we've been doing it for 4 years. It's like a charity cornhole tournament.
And this is the same one that you at one point nearly got thrown out of in a brawl, correct?
Well, I walked away. There was no brawl. But I threw the bags or cornhole bags at the guy because he's like a professional and they're really good, and he was beating us like 16-0, and he was throwing like under the leg shit, and of course Jägermeister was flowing through my veins at that point, and I just had fed up with him, so I walked towards him and started rifling the bags at his head, and then T of course yelled out loud, and I was like, oh shit, I just walked away. So.
If I remember the story, that was the closest you remember thinking that maybe Therese would leave you.
Like sure. Yeah. Because I had a freak out. And then there was something that later that night, there was a Floyd Mayweather fight, and these kids were talking shit, and I got one of their face. Yeah, it was the whole night was just brutal. And I figured like after we got back from that trip, it was going to be like, okay, we'll separate, So. But anyway, we finished. The thing started at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and didn't end till 9 o'clock at night. We were playing under the lights.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, it was a fun time. We finished second. And because usually every year, we're out after like the third game or something. Like we get maybe close fringe around there, but we just kept winning and winning. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? And there's some people that take it really, even though it's for charity, people take it really seriously. So
again, one of the great advantages of Skymint versus drinking is just Jason Nick. Like this chill guy finishes second. It makes you a better at cornhole.
I was happy,
bags.
dude.
Yeah.
I was happy for people when our opponents. I was like, nice shot, man. If I was drinking Jaeger, listen. It's changed my life. I can't recommend cannabis and Skymint enough because. No, you don't have to wake up and have a wicked-ass hangover.
Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. Chances are you live within a half hour of Skymint, probably less. There are 3 in the greater Lansing area. Also, that story, like many of Jason's stories, is a story worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company at 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Amazing place for a date night, lunch with a friend, a drink after work. And go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their menu and awesome drink selection. All right, let's take a really quick break here. When we come back, we'll dig into your hot takes. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. I told Dominic that I would do this when I tweeted at him that there was a Roast Umber coffee
Peacock
nitro cold brew up in this fridge.
Are you going to hammer it or just a sip?
To be fair to Roast Umber, and it might be fantastic, it's a nitro cold brew that's been in my car for 12 hours unrefrigerated. So it might not be very good.
Oh my God, we won the lottery!
But this is Tony D's great sponsor, so we're going to find out.
I wish Tony D would use Skymint on his little videos. Make it interesting.
That's not bad.
Good.
I feel like a Tony D video. I just do a point at the...
And don't forget Roast Umber coffee.
All right. Let's dig into
I guess
these.
we shouldn't throw stones as we do live reads all the time.
No, this is nice. I like it. All right, let's dig into these hot takes.
Eric Schultz up first. Number one, if there was ever a dead man walking after week 0, it's Scott Frost. Northwestern is a lot better than they were a year ago, but in year 5, that's an inexcusable loss, especially when you get dominated in the trenches. 2, Peyton Thorne becomes the first MSU quarterback ever to throw for 30 TDs in a season, and he's got it before the bowl game. And 3, I tend to side more with Graham than Jason when it comes to soccer, but Graham, I'm going to say this once. Premier League soccer is not a better sport to watch than college football. Not then, not now, not ever. It's a horrendous take, and it hurts your credibility.
Appreciate you, Eric.
I
love college football, but I also have become obsessed with Premier League soccer. So
But that's it to you. But
I
you're
have
saying
eye of the beholder.
You're
Correct.
stating it as like it should be fact.
No, I'm not saying that you should enjoy you should like Premier League soccer more than you like college football, because you like soccer, you don't. What I'm saying is the way it's packaged is better than the way they package football, and that football would be smart to, if it wanted to increase its audience, to find ways to be more creative with their sponsorships rather than just 4-minute break by 4 minutes of play. Like if you get a team that struggles offensively, like if it's 3 and out, I don't need a commercial every time. No. There's got to be ways to get the same bang for your buck. Like one of the things we don't do, we talk about it here with sponsors. We don't do it with like what Tim Stout does, where it's, I don't know, I can't do the Tim Stout voice, but it's just a lie. It's just
That's your Stout?
I don't know. That's all I got. What I mean is we
do that more.
We value our sponsors. We've in many cases picked them for a reason, and we incorporate them into the show where they fit us, and we try not to just make it separate from what
free
we're doing.
Parking in the rear. Amos.
To his second point, I do believe Peyton Thorne has a chance to set some records this year for Michigan State because obviously he's a senior quarterback. That needs to coincide with a year where you have talented playmakers, and he's got them, and he's got a coordinator. And I also think they may have a need for him to throw the ball. We'll see what the line does and other things, but I think there's a very good chance that he pushes some of the Michigan State passing records this year.
Dominic up next. Number 1, if I would have known we were going to have a Sunday night show, I wouldn't have been such a whiny twat the other day. My bad. 2, Graham Stouting the which show of the week is your favorite question was criminally underrated. I laughed a lot, and then I rewound it. 3, I like New Girl a lot, Graham, but we can't put it in Breaking Bad, The Wire, and Sopranos territory. But I fully endorse you continuing to push that narrative to Jason.
Appreciate you, Dom.
Everyone's favorite bonus take. I'm locked in for the 2009 Graham Gambling Special for MSU and Western. See you in hell.
All right, give me 1 second here to pull up that line.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me.
Okay, so when he says 2009 Graham bets, what that is for anybody who's new, is back then I would sometimes bet heavy favorites just on the money line. I'd bet like $2,000 to win 200, 1,000 to win 100, and as long as you win that, only once did it bite me. Northern Illinois and Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship game. But once it does, it sucks. Like losing $2,000 and then having to go to a Christmas party sucks. But I made more money than I lost even with that $2,000 because you usually win as long as you're smart about which games have a potential for an upset. Michigan State is minus 1690 on the money line on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And so if you're willing to risk 1,700 to win 100, I think it's a 2009 Graham would have told you it was a good play. I don't think Western Michigan's going to beat Michigan State. I don't know if this would have been I don't like doing that in openers. Openers are a little bit because I don't think Western's going to be as good as they've been. They've got a new quarterback, young quarterback. I don't think they're quite as good at receiver. But you never know in an opener, right? We just got Wisconsin, Nebraska all wrong.
I mean, yeah, you get $100 out of that, but really you have a kind of a heavy sweat. You never know.
Yeah, but
especially if Western scores first.
But if you're usually just betting 100 to win 100, and you're betting 1,700 to win 100, but you're not going to lose it, then you're still getting the $100.
That makes sense.
I mean, I'm not going to do it anymore, but I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I would, and I don't think you're going to get a money line. See, the problem, the other thing is if the spread gets too big, you don't get a money line. So you're not going to get a money line on Michigan State Akron, for example.
Are you telling him to do it, to make the bet?
I'm not telling anybody to do it. I don't want that kind of blood on my hands.
You're not going to tell him to not do it.
But I'm not going to tell him to not do it.
But you're telling him that he should do it.
I didn't say that either.
Okay. So but you said don't.
I'm not dissuading him or endorsing it. I'm Graham Stouting it on that. Yeah. Right.
Maybe up next. Number 1, MSU's tight ends flourishing will mask another year of development from the offensive line. 2, watching Hard Knocks was a mistake. Dehumanizing the Lions was key to the Thanksgiving tradition of watching them lose. And 3, running backs and quarterbacks are scammed. They are recruited and get to campus to end up playing defense.
Well, that's because a lot of them are just really good athletes, although Hamp Faye's a little bit different. But I do think
he's built different.
But he was more of a drop back guy. Some of these guys have played quarterback in high school. the best athlete on the team, and you run an option or something like that. And running backs the same boat. But there are a lot of them who think they're going to be running backs, and they get there and they're moved. A lot of guys, though, they're pretty honest with. The Hard Knocks point, though, is it is interesting because I think the Lions have become very likable, and if they struggle for a while, say they're 0-5, and at what point do they become unlikable, and the sort of humanization of them backfires, or will it?
0-5 should do that.
Yeah.
No,
I understand.
That's how the season's going to go. Okay, I would probably check out. Can we check out at 0-5?
Yes.
Okay.
And there is something to the idea that if the Lions aren't going to be very good, not knowing much about them, not having an emotional attachment, and just having the year start and whatever happens. Hard Knocks has created that emotional attachment for some people, especially if you're fans already. You're prone to that. It's made it a stronger attachment. It's only going to make it worse.
So who's the celebrity out of it, right? It's Dan Campbell. I mean, if there's a player that's a celebrity out of it, who would it be right now? That Rodrigo kid or
Campbell's become the biggest deal. Deuce Staley a little bit, but Dan Campbell.
But as far as players go,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, usually someone stands out, but whatever. Senior Riverboat Tubin up next. Number 1, TikTok and viral culture have increased the number of streakers at sporting events. I expect to see over 2 streakers at Spartan Stadium this season. It's a difficult stadium to streak. However, viral culture trumps the difficulty and consequences for today's youth. #sad.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I believe there's been somebody I can remember running on a Spartan Stadium, but I can't remember a streaker.
Can we stop not showing it, though? Can we start showing it?
Because they're worried that's going to entice people to do it, incentivize it.
Well, it seems like people are doing it regardless, so you might as well watch it and have a good time. When you hear the crowd go, whoa, whoa, laugh, and it's like, I want to see it.
I think that you televise it, but then you also allow the players to tackle them full speed pads. Like, that's what you have to understand is if you're going to jump onto the field,
you're free game.
You are free game.
Does a taser count? I mean, not free game. You don't want to maim them, but you know what I mean? Like, can a guy just tackle them or can you tase them?
Do you need to tase them, though? If you've got,
if you're running around, I mean, you get tired. You don't want to, run around catching the dude.
I'd like to see Cal Halliday take out a streaker who's drunk running on the field. But, go ahead, Cal.
But what if he mistakes, a streaker for, one of the line judges and just fucking...
Why would he do that?
I don't know. It just made me laugh.
Okay.
Gluten Weasel next. Number 1, the air just feels different when it's football season. Or it might be the Skymet. 2, there'll be a small panic moment against Western. Maybe early turnover are just coming out flat, but it ends up in a blowout. And 3, football is actually back.
The Western game is going to be interesting, and we'll try to get somebody on this week who can speak more to who they are so that we have a better understanding of what they're going to be as a team this year. But it's I don't know. I everything I read and the few people I've talked to, I don't sense that they know they're going to be as good as they've been. They've had a quarterback for a few. There's been an NFL prospect. They've had big time receivers and 2 straight years with a second-round draft pick receiver, guys who can really cause you problems. And I don't know that they're going to be that this year. And if they're not, that said, there are lots of years we just don't know the dudes. We don't know who the guy is before the season starts. So they may be better than we realize. And the other thing, from a Michigan State standpoint, even some of the best years under Mark D'Antonio, where they won Big Ten titles, went to Rose Bowls and all that, that Friday night opener against Jacksonville State or whoever it was, Youngstown State, has been ugly at times. It's not been an easy blowout win, and things have taken a minute to settle in. So it could absolutely happen. I'm Graham Stouting it. I don't think it's going to be a close game, but
it wouldn't surprise me. Okay,
right, exactly.
Spartan 18770. Number 1. It's important that MSU is up by at least 4 scores in the early third quarter Friday. We need to see what we have in our backup QBs. 2, Jay Johnson will get an interview after the season for the vacant Nebraska head coaching job. And 3, it's 11:30 p.m. and I'm watching Hawaii versus Vanderbilt, and all I can think is defund both football programs. Both are absolutely washed.
So to number 1, let's do that. I don't think it's that important that I do believe it's important that Michigan State gets game time for backup quarterbacks and players you're going to rely on, and quarterback's the one position it's hard to rotate in there, obviously in a competitive game. The Akron game is there for that. Like, not all Mid-American Conference teams are created equal, and I don't know how good Western's going to be, but I would be stunned if Akron isn't one of the bottom 4 or 5 teams in college football. And I know they've got a new coach, and they too have some former Spartans. A lot of connections. Jeslord Boateng is their leading tackler. But I think Michigan State in week 2 is going to get that opportunity.
Nick Palmer up next. By the way, Hawaii Vanderbilt. I mean, why watch that game other than gambling? Even if you like root for the schools, like you still have to bet on that game, right?
You do, and I wanted to see, and I missed it. I wanted to see Hawaii's stadium.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
No, but I think they're playing like an on-campus thing. I wanted to check it out and see what it looked like. But yeah, no, my hotel guide sucked. It's like trying to find games. Everything took like 10 minutes to find anything. It was
Why
the worst.
is it though that every time a hotel, like you try to turn the TV on, it's like a 8-minute process though to get through the menu?
It's not great. Yeah, no,
I've never understood it.
Yeah, shouldn't be that hard.
Trying to order porn. Nick Palmer, number 1. Sorry, Lee Corso, but it's time to go. 2, we need more week 0 games. And 3, the weather should be perfect next week. Too bad I'm not going outside because football is back.
So, but if you have more week 0 games, it's essentially week 1.
Okay. No, but it's still week 0. I'm saying, but there's no better time to put shitty teams on together when we're jonesing for football. So just slap a bunch of
if I was a school that
teams together.
I mean, week 0 can work one or two ways for you. Like if you're Northwestern, week 0 worked great for you. Change the perception of your season. You're feeling great. You had this Ireland trip. If you're Nebraska, this is 2 years in a row. You had shit go wrong on week 0. Why do not play these games? Because if Nebraska loses week 1 to Northwestern, number one, it's rough because you lose to a divisional opponent right away. It's you're not just in the hole of loss. You're in the hole of loss in the division, in the conference. But if it happened on week 1, when everybody else is playing, that's such an off-the-radar game in a lot of ways that you wouldn't have the national spotlight on you if you're Scott Frost. I don't get why. I mean, I understand the trip to Ireland, whatever. That's a cool thing, but I don't.
But if you're scared to travel to Ireland to play Northwestern, what then? Okay,
that's
then
a very good point. Yeah.
What's your goal for the season? Professor up next. Number 1, taking the Friday off before Labor Day weekend. Oh shit! Let me try this again. Number 1, taking the Friday off Labor Day weekend off. Wait a minute, this isn't even my fault.
It's the word of instead of off.
Of.
Yes.
Taking the Friday of Labor Day weekend off is better than having Monday off.
Well done.
2, the injury to the Ravens mascot truly means that football is back. And 3, week 0 is a lame concept, and it's formatted.
As it's formatted.
Jesus, it's hot in here. Should be limited to 4 showcase games amongst highly rated teams.
I mean, that would be one way to do it, to put like 4 of the best games. But I like it as an appetizer. I like it as people are desperate for football and will watch anything, and it's a good way to get some other games on. And I'm okay with the way week 0 works.
After the first month, you throw some weird game on, I'm not going to tune in.
Right.
Because I'm like, okay, football's really back, so why do I need those games?
Yeah, no, and I do like it's a good time for the Ireland game because those teams, usually, although they don't all have a week off, or maybe they both have a week off this week. I don't know.
How did they know the Ravens mascot was actually injured? Those guys always do that fake bit stuff where they hurt themselves.
I don't know. The things I read is he actually messed up his knee pretty
now,
bad.
Did he leave the whole his helmet thing on or his head?
Yeah,
cover?
He left the whole thing on.
That thing like Sparty, right? It can't be seen.
Left the whole thing on. Yeah.
Molon Lobby Spartan. Number 1, MSU goes 9-3 with losses to Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Penn State. 2, MSU's DBs will be much improved, but the pass defense success will be decided by the pass rush. 3, no 1,000-yard rusher this season for the Spartans.
I think number 1 is a logical guess. Wisconsin, Ohio State, Penn State. In some, I think 9-3, 8-4 is about what to me seems like a logical prediction. But you can argue, based on what you saw last year and the way they play in close games, you can argue if those traits carry over that 10-2 is reasonable. You can argue those things. The Ohio State game makes it, you can't really argue that's one of the wins because then you're just not basing anything on any evidence. To point number 2, though, I think this is really an important point because even though they had a lot of sacks last year, more sacks, they were not a great pass rushing team. They were timely, and that made a difference in some really big plays. And I thought their defensive backs made timely plays, and some of that had to do with a timely pass rush. Some of that was coaching too. But your secondary only gets so much better until you're really getting after the quarterback. And I've heard Deion Sanders talk about this. Like, nobody can defend for more than 3 seconds. You think about how fast receivers are. They know where they're going. You're reacting to them. Like, you can only defend for so long, and you have to get home. And so we'll see. Michigan State made a huge emphasis on this. They got rid of a defensive line coach, brought in 2 different ones, one who's a pass rush specialist and another one who made a living in the NFL doing it for years. And so let's see if there are immediate dividends.
Gavin Haas up next. Number 1, this season will be nothing short of a disaster for that school down the road. 2, MSU goes 11-1 with a loss to Wisconsin. And 3, no better feeling than having a full slate of college football to watch on a Saturday.
I get it. It is a great feeling, and for me, it gets amplified because it only happens a couple times a year where it's like a bye week for Michigan State, or once a year really. And I wake up and I know all I got to do. I just got to watch college football. Like, there's nothing else I have to do.
Sorry, honey, you have to work.
Yeah, you donuts. Watch college football. Get some pizza. So yeah, I'm
Your stout's better though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's So I do not think this season's going to be a disaster for Michigan, Gavin. I just a lot of home games, favorable schedule. I think a pretty decent roster. So
that's why it's a hot take.
Absolutely.
Jeff Haddis up next. Number 1, Scott Frost will be the first coach fired this season. 2, if Ricky White doesn't have to transfer, he would have led the Big Ten in receiving. And 3, Desmond Howard must be Sky Mint's biggest customer. That guy was on the moon yesterday with his college football playoff picks.
The Ricky White story, I mean, he looked really good. And look, I mean, obviously he was going to be a good player at Michigan State. He had 8 catches against Michigan as a true freshman. So there's no doubt about that. Michigan State has clearly bounced back at receiver okay. So I don't think it's and I'm happy for the kid that he's wound up on his feet.
By the way, why do we blame weed though for Desmond Howard's terrible takes?
Yeah. No,
Sky Mint's, it helps you make great picks. Yeah. JD, number 1, Scott Frost is purposely tanking Nebraska football. 2, J.J. McCarthy will be Michigan's starting QB by season's end. And 3, we will find this burner account, Graham.
So what he's talking about is I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, and somebody replied to the column I wrote that went up Saturday night or Sunday morning, like nice column or whatever, just pleasantries on Twitter. And I thought I was replying to them, and somehow I screwed up, and I just replied to myself on the Twitter, and I was like, appreciate you. So I just replied to myself on the thread, it just appreciate you.
But you said appreciate you, like if you would have said something else, like, great job, Graham, what a story, like that would be more obvious. Yeah. Sunshine Spartan next. Number 1, Nebraska will still win the West Division. 2, Ohio State will win the national championship. And 3, Netflix original movies are ass. Watched Me Time with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg and couldn't even finish.
I like those 2 actors, so it's good. It's good to know it's not good.
But those shitty movies have to go somewhere, though. Like, remember, they would be like the straight to DVD or straight to cable, right? And they have to go, so they have to go somewhere.
And their Christmas movies are sometimes better than the Hallmark version. A little bit higher, better acting, a little bit higher production quality. I've watched a lot of those.
There's a July show topic.
Well, they do Christmas in July on a lot of these things, too. You can watch all Christmas movies in July. So I'm just saying.
Joshua Bishop up next. Number 1, Graham's Big Papi impression is his best impression. When did you do Big Papi?
I think I did something like, don't fuck with my country or something like that. Or, don't fuck with my city or whatever. This is our fucking city or whatever it was. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, man. 2, Harlan Barnett will not be on the staff next year. And 3, it would be beyond ass to be a Cornhusker fan today.
Number 3 is dead on. Like, this is what I
ass, yeah.
Because in Nebraska, football is everything. They don't have the Lions. They don't have a not that helps.
Yeah,
situation.
You can have that too if you want.
But you don't really care about basketball all that much. Although I shouldn't say that. They pack that arena. But your self-worth is based in football. And to have it out in front of everybody and to feel like you waited all year for this and just, now you got to find a new coach. He's going to come in and say, it's a process. It's going to be a few years. If you're a 45-year-old Nebraska fan, you're turning 50. You're at least it feels like that today before you've got something to cheer about. And I do think that there's a chance this could still be a decent year for them. The problem for them with Scott Frost is I just think there's so much evidence right now that, and there are certain tendencies that aren't going to change. It's just eventually you might get a little bit better. You might have some bowl seasons. You might have some years where you have some of the better talent in the Big Ten, but you're going to lose big games because of the decisions that he makes within them, and that's just how it is.
Call me Al next. Number 1, the winner of the Big Ten East will have 2 conference losses. 2, the winner of the Big Ten West will be terrible at pass the football, but will have a cool tradition of either jumping around or waving at kids in the hospital. Whatever. 3, John L. Smith was an objectively better coach at MSU than Scott Frost has been at Nebraska. Let that marinate. And bonus, Q Graham, quote, speaking of marinades, if you're looking for some great marinated food in a cozy but spacious environment with a vibe perfect for a business lunch or a date night, followed by a delicious marinated donut, let me tell you about
Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Appreciate you calling me Al. I will do this. I want to do a public service announcement, though. Call me Al. You did your takes, and I typed them out myself. And some people have done this at times. They'll take a picture, a screen grab, and tweet out the screen grab. The only way that I can get those into our file is to retype the entire thing. And so instead of just editing them and putting them in order. So for my sake, if you could just, even if it takes multiple tweets, I'd rather you do that than do the screen grab photo. Thank you.
Jay Riemenschneider. Number 1, Michigan may have been Michigan may have a hell of a football season, and football is finally here, but it's crazy that I'm more excited and ready for Michigan basketball to start. 2, and Jason, the Whiting in Flint, where you went to see Jack White, is pronounced whiting, like the fish, not whitting. Noted. 3, can't talk greatest TV shows of all time if Seinfeld and King of the Hill aren't your top 2.
I mean, those are great shows, but you can have your own taste.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a huge Seinfeld. I mean, Seinfeld is obviously one of the great shows of all time. I like Curb Your Enthusiasm better than Seinfeld. And I would put that ahead of Seinfeld. And I know other people feel that same way, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But
did you mean to do that?
To compliment you or to say there's nothing wrong?
Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's Seinfeld's line.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Anyway,
but I do think there are shows that you can argue are in a tier of show that can be a top 5, and like I think New Girl is in that realm. Seinfeld,
or you can just enjoy it,
yeah,
and just whatever. Yeah. Alex James, number 1, the Bills will miss the playoffs this season. 2, 2021 MSU felt similar to 2010 MSU, took care of business against most of the schedule, got hammered by the best team it played, and this team closed the gap like 2011 did. And 3, lottery guy or gal at the gas station is still ass.
So this is the person who just takes forever to get the lottery tickets.
Has no care in the world. Will not turn their back and say, sorry, guys, about the way. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take 8 minutes in a line.
So when I buy a lottery ticket, and I buy often the same numbers every week, peace of mind, not because I think I'm going to win, because if those numbers ever did win and I didn't buy a ticket, I'd have to jump off a bridge. But what I do is, at the store I go to, this Apple Marketplace in Lansing off Saginaw, there's one register that sells the lotto tickets. And you can fill out your lotto tickets before you get to the front of the line. So I will go grab the lotto ticket, fill out my numbers, and then when I get there, I'm ready. That's the key. You got to be ready when you get there. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
You throw your big purse up there and rifle through that.
Yeah.
Get your form of payment out. I mean, come on.
Be ready.
Ron Quixotes, number 1, MSU will score a defensive touchdown against Western Michigan. Darius Snow, a defensive TD. Sorry. 2, we'll feel really good about the backfield after watching Berger and Broussard go off for 200 combined yards. And 3, Michigan wins week 1 plus 2 games by a combined 70 points. CSU and Hawaii are that bad.
Yeah, I think they win their first 2 games. But yeah, Hawaii is bad, and Colorado State's not good. And that's the other thing is about the quarterback deal with Michigan is even if the competition's not that fierce, you do get a sense of who can really sling it and who doesn't. Now, the one thing you may not get is a real sense of who does it when you're facing adversity, when there's a lot of pressure, and you hope you get to see your guy in that sort of situation. But like in Michigan State, there was no game where Andrew Maxwell ever looked like a prolific quarterback, right? He looked improved. He had some games where he was okay. But so you can see the difference no matter the opponent. So,
Jarrett, number 1, still taking Georgia Southern over Nebraska week 2. 2, Oregon over Georgia. And 3, MSU's first touchdown will be a defensive score by Xavier Henderson.
A lot of defensive score predictions here.
Yeah.
Georgia Southern over Nebraska. Georgia Southern's a good program. I haven't looked at how they are this year. And I do understand when he says still taking Georgia Southern over Nebraska. If they had won, Nebraska comes back to feeling good about themselves and they crap the bed. Now they're going to, they might be fired up and focused, or it could go the other way.
It wouldn't surprise you.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Kurt Wisniewski, number 1. Harbaugh is going to play J.J. McSizzle in the first 4 games to prevent a transfer to MSU. 2, the Husker Nation meltdown is delicious. Scott Frost will be fired by October 2nd. And 3, Desmond Howard doesn't deserve to be on ESPN game day. He's the sideshow Bob of the show.
Here's the thing about Desmond and ESPN game day. By next year, it's irrelevant to the Michigan State fan, to the Big Ten fan.
Who's going to hire Desmond?
Well, he'll still be on there, but talking about Clemson or something. But ESPN is going to talk less about the Big Ten. Big Ten fans, well, as much as I hate Big Noon and don't think Fox's show is any better than ESPN's or anything, and I think ESPN's is better, that's where the Big Ten games are going to be. People are going to get more accustomed to that, and that's going to become the thing. I mean, he's going to be less and less a thing in your life.
Mojo Jojo, number 1. Puke does not correlate to football victories.
That's the Scott Frost line about offensive linemen puking and puking like 20 times they're ready to go or something. I don't know what it was.
Weird. 2, week 1 falling on Labor Day weekend is a serendipitous as the World Cup starting over Thanksgiving. 3, the only murders in the building finale was underwhelming.
I actually really liked it.
Hashtag only 6 more sleeps till MSU football. What a hashtag.
I'm a big fan of Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. I like college football starting on Labor Day. I don't know. I like that. I don't mind it. I mean, other than we do a Sunday night show on Labor Day weekend, but I still like that too. Yeah, just coming Sunday. Yeah.
Some dude next. These are hot. Number 1, Izzo is ahead of his time. By the way, some dude said that. Number 1, Izzo is ahead of his time. The NBA has no traditional big men, and Izzo is on that track already ahead. 2, Graham is too hard on himself about the weight. After my celebrity sighting at Caskin Company, he carries it well. Must be the rib cage.
Thank you.
And 3, MSU passing offense will be prolific and record-setting. Will we experience the true Jay Johnson genius this year? The tight ends and their creative use will replace the need for K9 and play-action passing.
I'm really curious to see this version of Jay Johnson because I think last year Kenneth Walker and those 2 receivers gave them a chance to do some, to be a pretty damn good offense pretty quickly. I think he's got more weapons, maybe not the extreme weapon, the obvious weapon that Kenneth Walker is. And this is an opportunity to see what he's made of a little bit, and I think it could be, we used to talk about Dave Warner. Like I never thought Dave Warner was as bad as people made him out to be, but I thought he was not somebody who could turn chicken shit into chicken salad. If he had a good offense,
jet sweep. If
he had all the parts, he could run a good offense. But it was never going to necessarily blow you away. Although they did have that 43 points a game offense in 2014. I think Jay Johnson is, there's a little more to him, a little more creativity, a little more. I think he's excited about the possibilities this year, and I'm curious to see what he does with them.
Ryan Schultz next. Number 1, Scott Frost is fine. 2, people with negative takes about the East Upper Deck have got it wrong. If you're near the front and close to the 50, it's the best sight lines in the stadium by far. Also, you get a view of the press box. I wouldn't change to lower bowl seats if I could.
Wow.
3, my brother and I tried a breakfast place yesterday and had bad, bland chorizo. I don't know what's worse, that a hole-in-the-wall breakfast spot could serve bad chorizo, or that a 40-year-old man who writes for a living didn't know how chorizo is pronounced.
These are all personal attacks on me because I'm somebody who talks about the East Upper Deck is a place I wouldn't want to be when it gets cold, especially. But look, to each their own, and I do understand the vantage point. It's like some people really love upper deck above the goal at watching hockey, like to watch the way the formations and all that unfolds. And some people like that in soccer and in certain places. So I get that as well.
And upper deck jerk guy sits up there, right?
He must.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where the name comes from. Chorizo, I've since learned, and by the way, excellent chorizo. I fucked it up. I fixed that in post. Chorizo at Midtown Brewing Company on their weekend brunch. Go to midtownbrewing.net for their entire menu.
God, I can't talk. I'm not reading well either. Al up next. Number 1, MSU wins 7 games. 2, Michigan's quarterback shuffle will be a disaster. And 3, Keon scores MSU's first touchdown.
I think Keon Coleman is probably, people are wondering about the running backs, but I think Keon Coleman is the most anticipated player on this Michigan State team for most fans. And it's interesting that a guy who was already a freshman, he's already been on the team, has become such a fan favorite. It's an interesting dynamic. And part of it was who he was with the basketball team. Part of it was the sort of little bit of taste of him last year as a receiver that people got, and ending with a good performance in the bowl game. But you don't see it this often where a sophomore was he just showed enough that people think he's a star, and there's been enough hype, and he thinks highly enough of himself. I don't think there's anybody I can remember a returning player unproven that had more hope and hype surrounding him.
Jeffrey Daly next. Number 1, Michigan quarterback situation loses them a game early this year at Iowa. 2, MSU 9-3, but Couch is wrong. MSU loses to Zaga. 3, Nebrasking is the new Clemsoning, and it's sad and funny at the same time.
So I said in my predictions when Michigan State plays Rutgers that weekend that it was coming off the win over Gonzaga and San Diego on the aircraft carrier. So, which is a tough game, but hell.
Yeah, it's on an aircraft carrier.
It's not that bad, right? It's not. It is a weekend where football falls off the. The football game is always a big deal. It's a home game, but it's Rutgers. Basketball becomes the story for that moment. Although if basketball loses, people will be back on football real quick.
Gideon up next. Number 1, Nebraska choking winnable games away. College football is back. R.I.P. to the guy who put $33,000 on the Nebraska money line.
Shit.
2, strange seeing Michigan fans try to defend Harbaugh's quarterback decisions when that was one of the chief reasons they lost to MSU last year.
Well, that's fair, though. Yes, he did. McCarthy was not ready, but that doesn't mean right now he's an older quarterback. That doesn't mean now that the competition isn't really, really close. And I'm sure there are things with McCarthy that he does just in terms of his physical tools that make him really, really enticing. That's the one thing I do wonder is if you don't face real adversity in these first 2 games, do you really have an understanding of which quarterback is better? And that's the one thing I would debate that you won't actually get. But I don't know what else you do. If you don't, your schedule is what your schedule is.
Silver Spring Spartan next. Number 1, Pat Fitzgerald has an exceptionally punchable face despite leading a program 6 people follow. 2, it doesn't feel right to rag on Nebraska like we do Tennessee, Texas, and Scum, despite all 4 programs being very similar. And 3, Ricky White is more productive this year than Reed.
Jaden Reed, wow. Well, he's in an easier league, but I would put my money on Jaden Reed over the course of the year. The Pat Fitzgerald, punchable face? I don't see him that way. He's never been a punchable face guy to me.
I can see him having a punchable head if you don't like him, if you lost a bet or something.
That's true.
But, generally, no.
Yeah.
BB Kobe 87 next. Number 1, Ricky White will be a Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. 2, 15 through 30 is
15 and 30. That's Nebraska's record.
15 and 30 is bad. Nebraska's line players cannot be this untalented. They got pushed around all game by Northwestern. If Nebraska is any less than 4-2 by midseason, Frost gets canned. And 3, football's back.
Yeah, I wouldn't fire a guy mid-season even if you knew you were going to fire him. I would start to have an idea who I wanted to go with, but I wouldn't. It never does the program that well. Or at least if you're going to do it with like 1 game left. This is going to be his last season. We're not bringing him back. But
if it's a complete shit show, you have to do something.
Well, everybody knows he's gone at that point anyway, right? Does it really matter?
Yeah. Kevin from Rochester Hills next. Number 1,
First game of the year, and Scott Frost lost his team. They will be lucky to win 2 games.
Ooh.
2, Corso is better on game day than douchebag Desmond. 3, last year's weakness, MSU secondary, will be this year's strength and lead them to a Big Ten title.
I don't know if the secondary will be a strength, but I do think it'll be noticeably better, and it may be the area that's most noticed as better because last year it was an issue, and I do think they shored it up. I do think guys like Amir Speed make a difference. I do think there's better depth. Some of the guys coming back will be better. I don't know if there's great depth at safety, but I certainly think at cornerback it's considerably better than it was a year ago.
Plus-size softball dad up next. Number 1, week 0 proved I don't really want legal sports betting in Maine. Utah State laying the points against UConn? Fart noise. 2, I messed around on an offshore site to see what my bets would look like. I am the definition of scared money. 3, if there's one thing you can count on, it's that New Mexico State is going to lose and they won't cover. Jerry Kill is not a miracle worker.
Yeah, it's a dangerous road when you first dabble into gambling. You get really excited, you overplay, and you usually walk away going, fuck.
But usually they'll give you a sign-up bonus so you can kind of get that out of your system and not get hurt too bad.
That's what I would they have that at Firekeepers, by the way. If they will match you up to a certain point, and so if you download the Firekeepers now, plus-size softball dad's in Maine, so he can't do it. But if you're in Michigan, download the Firekeepers iCasino Sportsbook app, and you will have opportunities to lose their money before you lose your own.
Let me ask you before we get going. Wyoming and Illinois, did you watch that game? Were you impressed by Illinois, or is it just Wyoming is shit?
I think Wyoming's shit.
I think we could make money off Wyoming this year.
I do too. And we should bring Cody on to see if we can do that at some point, because I think
a goddamn shit show. That's what he said.
They lost a lot of guys in the transfer portal, and they look like they're falling apart. It looked bad. Now, maybe Illinois is better than we think. Like I think Bielema is a competent coach, and I told people I liked them over 4 wins, so we'll see.
Dark Mantonio. Number 1, I think gambling may be the missing piece to soccer finally catching on somewhat in the U.S. Some 40 years after we were all told it's the next big thing and will rival the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. Who said that? 2, contrary to popular belief, Ohio State football will not lead the nation in scoring. They won't even be top 5. As a matter of fact, their hated arch rival will average more points this upcoming year than the Buckeyes. 3, college football playoff predictions sure to go wrong. Bama, Utah, Oklahoma State, and Michigan.
Feasible.
Better than Desmond's.
Better than Desmond's. To your first point on soccer finally catching on, what's allowed soccer to catch on the way it has is television. Like when I was growing up, I couldn't watch Premier League games every week. I mean, the best league in the world is on every week, and so are all these other leagues that are really good leagues are on. And MLS, is on constantly, and they've got their own new thing coming up with Apple TV. Like, it's just so much more exposure to it, and that's allowed it to catch on and become a big deal here.
Sports Guy 1919. Number 1, Sopranos is the greatest television show ever made. 2, I feel bad for Manti Te'o. However, getting the entire nation involved in a tragedy with a girl he had never met wasn't very smart.
Yeah, I mean, you can say you wouldn't get catfish, and I
wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't. When someone doesn't want to speak to you on the phone or in a video,
yeah.
I mean, I understand it's probably they really probably meant it that time, but
I might have at age 17.
Oh, dude, I was falling for a lot of stuff. I mean, Yahoo Messenger, but if there wasn't video chat, that's how old I am. But if someone didn't want to talk on the phone or they didn't want to show themselves on video or something, then.
Although
I was out.
We were I remember in the AOL Instant Messenger chat days, when you're on the dial-up, and I'm like 17, 16 years old. It was a great sound when it was connecting. That was just a good, anyway. But I do remember the first person you're like chatting with is like, hey, we should hang out. And like I was so scared of online people that I didn't know what to do about that. So I just hard booted the computer. Like I was like, they can't get to me if the computer's off.
Smart.
And that's what I did. So
who wanted you, though?
It wasn't even like a sexual relationship thing. It was just like, I don't know. It was like a fantasy football chat thing. It was like, hey, we should hang out. And I was like,
so why would they come after you, though?
I don't know. I wasn't bright. I was 16, 17. It was all I knew is online people were predators, and I wasn't going to mess with this. And
those PSAs worked on Graham.
Yeah, for sure.
Bo McJunkin's next. Number 1, nothing like
is your erection curved commercials to intro the show. I miss Michael Patrick Shields 69ing his own great questions. 2, it shouldn't take 29 minutes to check out at Walgreens. Every effing time. Fumbling with change, picking cigarettes, entering rewards. Christ. 3, both parties need to stop acting like they care about the national debt. And bonus, MSU wins Friday.
You can get on that 2009 Graham bet if you're sure about MSU winning Friday. I'm not somebody who cares about the national debt, but I don't think elections are won and lost by national debt either, because it's just not. Yeah. Anyway, I was at a Walgreens and had this the other, just in Marquette. There was one person with a real issue, and
It's brutal. They asked me 9 different questions. I go to Walgreens for medications and stuff, and it's just like, can I get out of here? You got to remember, like, your last 4 your SOCH and all this shit. Like, got to sign up for stuff. Do you want to donate?
If you're a busy Walgreens too, you've got to have a second cashier, because you've got to have a way, if there's one person that's holding up the line that doesn't kill everybody.
They have to stop making transactions like full of questions, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's get to the point.
What I don't like on the Walgreens one, it's like, was your experience good or bad? And there's like 5 stars, and I don't know which side is 5 and which is 1, so I'm always panicked. And I hit the 1, I'm like, oh fuck, I probably got this guy fired. What? I don't know. Yeah.
It's all the way to the right. Like, you hit the 5.
That should, yeah.
Jesus. Who's the rube here? Clint One Ball Baney. Number 1. Trying to keep up with your summer podcast schedule has been like punching my clown with my left hand. I couldn't get used to it. 2, Scott Frost was undoubtedly taken over James Franklin as the coach who finds more ways to give away legitimate wins than anyone else in the Big Ten, and it's not even close. 3, Ancestry.com has recently revealed that I'm now 1% Southern Italian in the latest update, and coincidentally, I started leaving my top 4 shirt buttons undone. It feels good. And a One Ball Baney bonus take pet peeve. People who name their pets with human names. Stop it. You could name them Scruffy, Chewy, or Bear, but for fuck's sake, not Doug. I'm serious. Just stop it.
What's your dog's name?
Mia.
Mia's a human name.
It is. I love Mia. I get what he's saying, though. It's just a common, like Fred, Doug,
John,
Ed.
Yeah.
Like, that's just bullshit.
Jerry.
It doesn't fit for a dog, and when someone comes over and you're like, hey, Fred.
Yeah, right.
Am I right?
No, I'm with you.
Couch on fire.
And by the way, we think our plan now is a fairly consistent show. Sunday, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Things could happen.
Saturdays. Possibly a Sunday.
Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays. And obviously the Tuesday, Wednesday could
Can
be
I
a
talk
shift.
you into a Monday?
No.
Couch on fire. Number 1, it's getting mighty frosty in Lincoln. Both the win and the under were betting losers in Dublin. 2, Elon, please do us all a favor and buy Twitter and then close it down. Couch in the Rube will have to go back to email, of course. 3, Chet Holmgren out for the year already. Yikes.
That sucks.
That was bad.
I feel bad for him.
In a pickup game against LeBron?
Yeah, not great. And it's not even a team that can really – they're too good a team to tank without him. Like, people get going, oh, well, they'll just get – no, they're not going to tank this year. They're not going to be able to. And you can only ask your guys to tank for so long, too, especially when they got – yeah, it just sucks. Now, I don't think it's the end of his career, and he could use a year to develop and try and get his frame right. But it sucks.
What happened with him? What was the injury? Was it a Liz Frank break or something?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And there's a chance
you can come back from that, though.
And there's a chance it won't be the full year. I think they're saying it now because they want him to not have pressure to try and come back at any point. But if he recovered quickly,
these guys now, though, he won't be back. Neurotic Pants next. Number 1, Dan Cole experienced the perfect shart storm and had to go, but this season will prove that he left the program better off than he found it. 2, Herschel Walker's campaign is as ridiculous as a Roman emperor appointing a horse to the Senate. His family should put an end to it. 3, I understand an eye roll or cringe, but with some clueless dude wanting to let his hog out the pen on Twitter really a cause for weeping and gnashing of teeth? Glad the season is starting.
That's a Lats. Yeah, it's a Lats thing.
Hog out the pen? Is that a new term?
His hog out of the pen. Is missing. His hog out of the pen. Yeah, I guess so. It's a new. I hadn't heard
Release
that.
the mule. I get it.
Yeah. The Danton Cole thing. Yeah, Herschel Walker's. I mean,
oh boy.
There's CTE. There's also. I mean, it's not even. Yeah.
Can you just have really shitty political takes? It has to be CTE.
Yeah,
man, you gotta be on.
Yeah,
you gotta have CTE.
It's just if you listen to it, it's got to be. You hope it is. And you never hope anybody has CTE, but I actually hope Herschel Walker has CTE.
But what would you do with your family member though? Because I'm sure that his family thinks along the same lines, but how would you like Dad? Dad, seriously?
I bet you there's some cringe people in the family going, "Oh, no, not another interview for Herschel." It's not great. But the Danton Cole point will be interesting to see, and I do think he did get a raw deal in certain ways, but he had time, and the program needed a fresh start and a restart. And the Michigan State hockey program now has a lot of things going for it. One, and I just met the coaching staff beyond Adam Nightingale the other day. He's got young, energetic assistants who have proven they can do it at other programs in terms of recruiting. You got a new facility they're just moving into. And then you got Michigan, which had been dominating the state in recruiting, eating their own face here and having to fire their coach. And there's an opportunity. But they would not have been able to take advantage of the opportunity, I don't think, to the degree they will if Danton Cole was still the coach. That said, I think Michigan falling off would help him, but they needed fresh energy. That's clear to see now.
Tucker Tarleson next. Number one, not that hot, but people are too hyped for the Lions. I love the Lions, but there's no way they win more than 8 games. 2, Graham, what is your solution to fixing the homeless issue in Lansing? And 3, seeing freshmen move in during your last year is so humbling. Your take?
I mean, it's been a long time since it was my last year. I enjoyed helping. I enjoyed being an upperclassman at a college setting when freshmen were moving in. You enjoy being in that setting where you feel like this is your world, your campus, and all that. So I guess that's cool. The homeless issue in Lansing, I don't see it as worse than other places. There's got to be some. It's not a thing I've given a whole lot of thought to, other than give people a bus ticket so they can be homeless in warmer places. But I would say also. That's bad. Cut that out, please. Fix that in post. No, I would say there's a mix of things with putting an emphasis on mental health and housing.
But there's buildings around here that are 10 stories high with apartment rooms or whatever that you could make into something.
Correct. There are places that could be not just affordable housing, but housing for people who really need it, and it beyond affordable. And we should be more willing to
shove
help
them on a Catabus.
But don't just put them on a Greyhound. I apologize for that take.
Woke couch here. Number 1, Hamp Fay is diversifying the defensive back room, and diversity necessarily strengthens the unit. 2, Desmond Howard was obviously hired for his profound analytical savvy, no other reason. 3, thanks for bankrolling my gender studies degree. Blue collar schmucks.
I'm very curious to see if Hamp Fay sticks. I think he's a good enough athlete, but he's a 6'5" safety. You don't see a lot of those guys. I don't know that has he given up on playing Mel Tucker talked about that they don't just switch guys' positions. There are a lot of discussions, and so I wonder what that discussion was. Is he truly given up on playing quarterback? Does he understand that it's not going to happen at MSU, but he wants to be there? And maybe it's worth trying. It's not going to happen anywhere. I'm very curious to see how long he stays at MSU, how this works. And I'd look, credit to him if he wants to be at MSU and try another position before he makes that decision. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Tyrone Couch next. Number 1, MSU wins 10 games this year. Green goggles in full effect unless the offensive line loses a player, then 7 wins. 2, the pending transfer that was banging a coach's kid has learned his lesson and will put on a clinic versus that unnamed team. Anyone slinging more dick than lats has to play his best or he will be ridiculed. 3, Funfetti is the absolute worst cake flavor, followed by orange cake and strawberry. I would rather earn my Red Wings than eat any of those awful cakes. It's the worst. Also, Tyler Vroman scores a touchdown this year.
MSU goes from 10 to 7 wins if they lose one offensive line player. It could happen. That could, they may not have depth there. That could absolutely be the margin could be that thin.
Have you earned your Red Wings? Do you know what that means?
I don't.
All right.
What does it mean? Do you know?
Well, female has it once a month. And
Jesus!
If you go in that area as a
okay, we're gonna cut that and fix and post
during that time.
Let's go into that. Hans is next. Speaking of people who
cue the last music. No, Hans Jurgen. Number 1, watching Scott Frost in Nebraska gives me PTSD memories of JLS.
John L. Smith.
I know. We're friends. I call him JLS. Make it stop. 2, week 0 is better than the preseason of all 3 major sports combined.
3, the new Predator movie Prey on Hulu is pretty damn good, but why hasn't ever anyone tried to assuage? Jesus, I never would have got that. Assuage the Predator with Sky Mint cannabis. I think he just has stress and mental health issues. And bonus, Jason and Graham need to pod 24/7 so I can stay in my MSU fantasy world and not my miserable reality. And bonus, the only reason Graham would ever ban me from the show is if I become a Tottenham Spurs fan.
Lots of Tottenham fans listen, and we just disagree about their actual fandom. Okay, week 0 better than the preseason of all 3 major sports combined.
Sure.
You agree?
Yeah. Why not? It counts.
The only thing I would say is, that'd be the big thing. Baseball, though, there are 2 sort of preseasons that I would equate to having some value. One is the NBA Summer League, even though it's not technically a preseason, because you're excited to see rookies right after the draft. The other would be the excitement of like spring and not the games themselves, but pitchers and catchers and spring training. There's a moment there where that has something. But I'm with you. Week 0 is probably it.
Jake Hawkins next. Number 1, watched the Manti Te'o documentary over the weekend. Very good movie. But still so strange how that whole incident messed him up and ruined his chances to become a national champion as well as his NFL career. Seriously, what the fuck?
They were not going to win that game, though.
No.
Yeah, that was not happening. No. That national championship game.
2, great column on how MSU will show us where they're at with their rebuild and climb. I believe the defense will take a huge step forward and be really good. I'm confident they get possibly 9, 10, or 11 wins if the O-line has a 2013 season luck and stays healthy, which I'm hoping for. 3, I've said this for so long. NASCAR needs to do a better job of scheduling races around times when the weather is bad. Having the summer Daytona race on CNBC Sunday morning isn't ideal. Should have had it on Sunday afternoon or night instead.
Wait, they've got Sunday morning CNBC NASCAR races? I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, that's talk about off the radar. And certainly if it's NBC, you're up against soccer. Soccer's on an NBC. Yeah, I guess the 12:30 game might be on. No, it's on. It's on. What's it called?
Free Ubers.
Fuck it. It's on USA. Peacock and okay. Let's fix that in post.
Scrap this whole show.
Yeah, sorry.
I can't read.
Here we go.
Lastly, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Number 1, soccer is so fucking boring. Luckily, I found some Australian rugby. 2, no one should make predictions. At this point, they're all just guesswork. And 3, whoever came up with grass lawns is the evilest person ever. Let's give everyone a weekly chore and make them spend too much money.
The grass looks good when you're done. It gives you something to be proud of. You get to stare out at your grass with a beer or some Sky Mint.
How much is it costing other than gas and the lawnmower?
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's pretty much in there.
It depends. It depends if how big your lawn is. I guess. Look, predictions are fun, and at this point, I don't know why I'm trying to.
Hot sauce.
Yeah, hot sauce. We appreciate your real effort, Shirt Guy. You may be right. It is time for games.
Yes.
And we are excited that games are happening. We will get into some of those on our Tuesday show. We appreciate all of you and your hot takes. We appreciate SkyMint. Go to skymint.com for the latest offers, deals, daily specials, and location information. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their outstanding menu and drink selection. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.